Hey everybody, I'm Ashley. It's nice to meet you. If you know me, hi, hello, thanks for watching. If you don't know me, I am 27 years old. I'm originally from Colorado, but right now I'm living in Scotland. So I'm gonna kind of like get into that story in this video. I kind of wanted to like introduce myself a little bit and just kind of talk about my international whirlwind romance because I have had a few people wondering, what is the story here? And obviously it's really hard to explain it on like a message or over the phone because it's like, okay, yeah, what are we gonna do? Talk for like 5 hours about my relationship? So I'm gonna try to keep this like as concise as possible because I know that you guys probably don't want to sit here for an hour and listen to me talk about my life, especially if you don't know me. You're like, why the hell do I care? I get it. So I'm gonna try to, not ramble, which is something that I'm really good at doing. You'll probably notice, or you may already know that about me. I don't know. So yeah, there's a few people that have asked me, they're just curious about my life and my story. And I've never really sat down to talk about it like this. So this is something I've been wanting to do for a while now, and I don't know. I just kind of avoided it, and now I'm just like, this is the perfect time because I was gonna do it a little while back, but I feel like there's more to the story now, and the story has gotten more exciting. So I'm like, now is the best time. Also, if you see me looking around, I don't really know where to look in this video. I'm not like a pro at this by any means, so if I'm just like darting all over the place, that's why. It's kind of awkward to like stare at the side of my phone where the camera is at because it's just like I'm just staring into the abyss right now. But anyways, see what I mean by rambling. No one cares, actually. Nobody cares. A little bit about me. I'm from Colorado, as I said. Um, I'm super into like all things like creepy, dark, true crime, but I'm also like I'm a Gemini, which some of you may not believe in that whole astrology thing, but I am half light and half dark is how I like to look at myself, not in a way of like, oh, I'm evil and I'm good. Like obviously I'm not evil in any way, but I have a dark side and I have a kind of bubbly, bright, colorful, crazy social butterfly side, and then I have a dark kind of like emo kid, like lover of all things like crazy, scary, that kind of thing. That's sort of what I mean. So if you've ever seen the show Wednesday, I'm basically Wednesday and her friend in one, combined into one person. So I also really love travel. I love being outside, hiking, walking, camping, all of that good stuff. I love that. I love nature. I love the mountains particularly. So I'm a mountain girl through and through. I like snowboarding. Yeah, so that's me. I like to do yoga. I'm very into like spiritualism, like witchy stuff. I am kind of interested in witchcraft. I've delved into that before. I love my family. I love my friends. Who doesn't, obviously, but yeah, I'm very like family oriented. Family is very important to me. But yeah, I could go on and on about myself, but I want to get into my story, like my life and what it is right now and how it ended up this way. So I'm just gonna dive right into that. So, all right, let's take it back to the year 2016. Um, I'm like kind of just drifting around. I had gone through a lot of hard things that year, so I wasn't in like the greatest mental headspace, let's put it that way. I was struggling with a lot of things in my life. I was 21 years old, I believe. I was pretty young. I, didn't really know what I was doing with my life or what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew I wanted to travel, and that was something that I was always passionate about, something that just gave me life and still does to this day. So yeah, 2016, I'm not doing great. I'm a little depressed. I get an opportunity pops up to travel to Spain, with a friend, and like meet up with a friend of hers that lives in Spain. I just thought, why the hell not, you know? I've never, to be honest with you, I've never thought of Spain as a destination that was like on the top of my list. I mean, obviously, I would go anywhere, so I'm not saying anything about Spain. I'm just saying it wasn't like a place that was tip top of my list, but I just was like, you know what? I could use a getaway. Like, I'm going through it right now. That sounds fun. Like, I'm down. Let's do it. So we start planning this trip, and it's me and this girl and this guy, and we're just figuring it out. We're Skyping each other, we're planning it, we're, you know, getting excited and figuring out all the cities we're gonna go to. And this guy, he lives in Spain. He was stationed there in the military, so he was very familiar with Spain and all of the like really cool places to go. And you know, so we're just hyping this trip up, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be amazing. So this is like end-ish of 2016, and then we're coming into early 2017. The trip was planned for March for 3 weeks to go to Spain. So it was me and this girl. I won't say her name just in case she doesn't want her name out there. I don't know, but it's me and her, and we're traveling to Spain together and meeting up with this guy in Barcelona. Again, I'm not gonna name him either, just because I'm not gonna out people that maybe don't want. I don't know why they would care, but you know, you can't be too careful these days. So out of respect for them, I'm just gonna say the girl and the guy. So we met up with the guy in Barcelona. We're doing our thing in Spain, having a grand old time. I'm like so stoked on this trip because I've never been like abroad before. I had been out of the country, but I had never been to Europe. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a new world. Like literally, if you've been to Europe before and you're, you know, from anywhere else in the world, you're like, wow, like this just feels like a fairy tale type of vibe. So that's very much how I was feeling. So the trip was going well. We were rolling up to Madrid, which was I think one of the last destinations that we went to. I could be wrong. We went to so many places, like 9 cities or something. So it's a little fuzzy now, but yeah, so we're rolling into Madrid. We are arriving at our accommodation, which is a hostel that the guy had booked for us because he had stayed there before and he liked it. So we get there and we check in and we're chilling, you know, getting to know the hostel, getting to know the place, talking to people, whatever. We're sitting at this table. So a lot of hostels have like big long tables where you can sit as a group and talk to people and like have a little community dinner time or whatever meal it is that you're having. So we got theirs around dinner time, so we sat to have dinner at the table. And I remember like looking over at a guy who was sitting there and just thinking, wow, okay, like this guy's really attractive. And I remember telling my friend, the girl, and I'm like, hey, like that guy's hot or whatever. And I remember like, I don't know how this came up. I think someone else was talking to him and they might have said his name or something. And we were like, oh my gosh, his name's George. And so we start like singing all quietly, George, George, George of the jungle. If you know, you know, which is really embarrassing. And I'm super glad he didn't hear that. But hey, maybe he would have liked it. I've told him that a million times and he's like, that's really cute. I probably would have just laughed. And I'm like, okay, well, good. But anyways, that's why we're married. So the night goes on and we are all going out as a group from the hostel to some bars and stuff in Madrid. And we're at this Irish pub. My friends and I are kind of drunk. You know, we've been having a grand old time. Went to like Spanish McDonald's and stuff. It was really fun. It was cool. So we're feeling good. We're having some drinks. We're hanging out in the pub and I see George, which is obviously my now husband. He's sitting at the bar and he is talking to another girl from the hostel, which is like, ugh, come on. No, I'm just kidding. I always give him shit for that. I'm like, you were talking to another girl all night, but you know, it's fine. Anyway, he gets up from like sitting at the bar and he is alone at this point. And I'm like, okay, this is my chance. Like, I'm going in. I see him by himself. I take the opportunity and I just roll on over to him and I start talking to him. And like, I hear that accent. And you guys, I was like, whoa, like smitten like that. I love a good accent, especially a Scottish accent. I don't think I had ever met anybody before that was Scottish, so I'm just like, oh, and he's really tall and he's very handsome, and I was just like, wow, like, you know, super enthralled by him. So the night goes on, we start talking, you know, shooting the shit, getting to know each other, and we mosey on over to this club. At that point, I think the guy I was with was paired up with a girl, and he wanted to dance with her at the club, and I wanted to dance with George. And I think our female friend was like, I'm tired, like I want to go to sleep or whatever. And so she ended up going back to the hostel. And so yeah, we went into the club, we were dancing, we were just having a good time being drunk. You know, I spilled my rum and coke everywhere, which is super cute. Apparently George didn't notice at the time, but or maybe he was just pretending not to notice, I don't know. But we had a good time clubbing, dancing, you know, we kissed, you know, cute stuff like that. We're chatting. So after the night was over, George was like, hey, like, we should keep in touch. Do you have Facebook or do you have WhatsApp? Whatever. I didn't have WhatsApp, I had Facebook, so we added each other. He's like, yeah, like, you know, let me know if you want to get breakfast tomorrow morning, but I have to fly home, so I'm leaving pretty early, yada yada. So I'm like, great. So I go back to my room with my friends and I go to sleep. We get up the next morning late, slept in. I messaged George and I'm like, hey, like, are you still around? I would love to see you and get breakfast, but if not, it's okay, I understand. Like, we got up late. He's like, yeah, I'm really sorry. You know, I'm like, I'm gone now, I have to catch my flight. And I'm like, okay, whatever. No big deal, like, not a second thought. I'm just like, great, had a fun night, you know, met a cute guy, awesome. Nothing to see here. So we leave the hostel and we want to go get breakfast. So we're at this, in Spain, there's a lot of markets, like big markets with all kinds of like different food vendors and all kinds of stuff. So we went to one of those to get food for breakfast. And we're just there moseying around, and all of a sudden the girl that I'm with is like, hey, like, is that George over there? And I'm like, oh my god. Like, I turn around and I'm like, oh my god, it is him. Like, that's crazy. And I'm like, I don't want to look, like, I don't want him to think that I'm creeping on him or like following him or something. So I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna pretend like I'm doing my thing and just nothing to see here. And she's like, no, go talk to him, like, go say hi or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I guess I will. So we went over, like, all awkward, and we're just like, hey, you know, like, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, hey, like, this is crazy. I just stopped to get some food before catching my flight, whatever. So we're chatting and small talk, and then he was about to leave, and we just hugged. And, like, obviously, in the moment, it's just a hug, you know, it's not, like, anything to write home about, but looking back, it's just crazy to me. Like, this hug, this beautiful hug that we had, it sounds so dumb and cheesy, but it's like this hug, like neither of us knew that this was gonna lead to what it led to. So I just think about that a lot, and I'm just like, wow, like, we had no idea. Like, that hug was so special, and that night was so special. Just, I don't know, things like that blow my mind all the time. When I think about my relationship in particular, like, it just blows me away. Like, that's my life, you know? So anyway, he leaves, we go on with our trip, everything's great time, love Spain, 10 out of 10, would highly recommend going to Spain. So after that, like, George and I kept in touch for the following months over WhatsApp and Facebook and stuff, kind of like getting to know each other better, chatting every now and then. It wasn't like, oh, every single day or just chatting all the time, constant. Because, you know, I had my own life, he had his own life, he's traveling the world, I was like living in Cali at the time, working at a restaurant, like just trying to figure out my life. So it's not like we were attached at the hip or anything, we just chatted here and there. And I think I believe it was pretty early on in our little relationship we had going on over messaging. I asked him if he wanted to go with me and my family to Ireland. We had a trip planned for that September. So this was March, end of March 2017. Trip was planned for September. of that same year. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ask him if he wants to come. Like, what's the worst that could happen? He might just say no. Big deal. Because I knew he liked to travel and I thought he was really cool and cute, and I just wanted to, I don't know, put it out there for him if in case he was interested. And he was like, yeah, like I'm down actually. Like, sure. So I'm like, great, awesome, that's amazing. So he ended up joining us on that trip in September. He put his car on a ferry and like brought it over to Ireland from Scotland and came and like drove us, like met us in Dublin and drove us all around Ireland for a week. Poor guy had a cold too, but he like stuck it out. We had a great time. That week was honestly like, I can't even describe it. I felt like I knew this guy for years. I just was like, wow, like this guy is amazing. We have so much fun together. Like, I swear I've known him for ages. I'm so comfortable with him. And like my family noticed, they really liked him. They were like, wow, you guys are so cute. And I'm like, oh my God, stop. Like, I don't even barely know this guy. This is so crazy. But he, I guess, felt the same way. I got a vibe from him that he was feeling it too. So that week was just amazing. Even though he was sick and, you know, things weren't perfect, I was like, this guy is so cool. Like, I really like this guy. And so I'm like, shit, like, no, of course I would end up like being interested in a guy that lives in Scotland. Like, how, why? You know, so I went home from that trip and I told all my friends, and I'm like, oh my God, like this guy, he's really cool, and I don't know if he likes me, but whatever. And so then after that, it's just more back and forth of us chatting. And then after Ireland, we were chatting a lot more frequently, and it was more like, okay, this is like an interest. Like this guy is one of my love interests. Like I had a million, I really didn't. He was a guy I was into. I was like, okay, this is a guy that I could see a future with maybe. That's about the end of 2017. And then let's see, I think about the next month after our Ireland trip, which was like October of 2017. Sorry, I'm messing with my hair. It keeps getting stuck in my freaking eyelashes. If you're a girl, you feel me. Got them falsies on and it's just like all up in there. So yeah, we're about at the end of 2017 and George is like, hey, like I really want to come visit you in California, because again, I was living there at the time. And I'm like, hell yeah, like please come see me, because I was planning on moving back to Colorado in I think it was, oh my gosh, was it February or something of 2018? I don't even remember at this point, but I was like, come to California, see me before I move, because you know California's really cool and there's a lot of stuff I want to show you. So he ended up coming for a trip and we went on a big road trip and it was really fun. I showed him California, and that's even more like sealed in that I really liked this guy. I was really into him. I just started to fall for him at that point and I was like, okay, like this might be a thing. This really could be like for real. And he said he felt the exact same way and he knew like he wanted to be with me, which is so cute. Like, hello, that's adorable. So then I moved to Colorado and then I ended up going out to Scotland to visit him. We had an amazing, magical Scottish road trip. He took me all around. He introduced me to his family, which is really cool. So yeah, and then, you know, he had met my mom and my stepdad, and at this point, you know, everybody knew him, and we went on our magical Scottish road trip. Um, and I remember he took me to this like really beautiful place in Scotland that he loved, this really cute little like quaint hotel with like this fireplace, and it was next to this like these waterfalls and just this beautiful place, and it was one of his favorite places in Scotland, and he asked me to be his girlfriend officially, and I was like, oh hell yeah, of course, like duh, I said yes. And then, you know, we started dating seriously, and then he came to visit me in Colorado, and then, you know, I'm not gonna like get into every single trip we've taken together since then. There's been tons, but we've been back and forth traveling together, visiting each other, just, you know, having a grand old time, having an adventurous romance. And so my husband works offshore on an oil rig, so his schedule was perfect for our relationship. He would have 2 weeks of working and then 3 weeks off, so still does to this day. So that was great. Like we saw each other a lot for being long distance, like every couple months. So then let's see, 2020 rolls around and I decide I'm quitting my job. I'm putting my stuff into storage. I am gonna go live in Scotland, which, you know, you can't just live in Scotland. I was just thinking I'm gonna come for 6 months, which is the longest you're allowed to stay. If you're American and you don't have any sort of visa, you can stay for up to 6 months. So I just thought, you know what, screw it. I'm at a point in my life where I am able to do this. My lease was about to end. You know, my job was nothing crazy. I just was like, hey, like I'm going for this. This is happening. So I put my stuff in storage. Like I said, I got on a plane and I just went here. I came here to Scotland and I stayed for 6 months. And of course, COVID happened, which was, you know, crazy times. And I ended up being here during all of that time. Well, not all of the time, but you know, those 6 months I was here during the first part of COVID. So that was very, very strange being in another country during a pandemic. Yeah, wild times. But so then after that, I had to kind of keep like leaving and coming back here, if that makes sense, because you can't, again, stay here legally if you don't have some sort of visa or something, and I didn't. So I had to go back to America, then come back, which obviously I loved going back to America because I would go visit my mom and my friends in Colorado, my other family. That was great. I enjoyed it because I had a lot of time here, and then I would have a few months there, and I was back and forth. And then 2021 May, we ended up getting engaged. We were in the Outer Hebrides, which is this group of islands that's off the west coast of Scotland. A lot of people think it's like Hebrides or something, or they have no idea what I'm talking about when I talk about that. So yeah, they're these really cool islands. So we went there and we were camping, and he asked me to marry him on this beach at nighttime with the fire going. It was really romantic and cute. I can make a whole video about that story if you want to hear that as well, but I'm not going to dive into it here because I'm already 25 minutes in, and oh my gosh, crazy. Got engaged. Then, you know, I came back over here because we had gotten engaged, and then I had to go back to America, sadly. So I was away from him for a while, and I came back here. And well, yeah, a couple more times. I'm sorry, I'm like fuzzy on the timelines because it's all like a blur at this point, but I came back a few more times, and then we started the process of, okay, we're gonna get married. So that's a whole thing. We ended up having to get a fiance visa, which you have to apply for it, do all this paperwork. It costs a lot of money, and at the time, like the government website was saying, okay, it's a 3-month wait, but then you could do priority service that makes it quicker, and we really wanted to do that so that we wouldn't have to be apart that long. So we went to try to do that, and then I found out right before I was gonna apply that they had taken that away and suspended the priority service at the time due to, like, you know, the crisis in Ukraine and Ukrainian people needing to come and get into the UK. So they paused the priority service. So then it turned into, okay, it's going to be 3 months to wait for your visa. And we had planned our wedding for August of 2022. And this was like, I want to say March. So we're like, okay, like that's pushing it a little close, but like, okay, if we have to wait 3 months, you know, we'll still get married in August. Well, you know, didn't go that way. I think it was like May when I got a notification from the UK government that it was going to be like closer to 6 months for us to wait for me to get my visa so I could come back here and marry him. So it did. It ended up being 7 months that we were apart, and I was in America and he was here. And yeah, that was like the hardest thing ever, honestly. Like, biggest challenge in a relationship, and I can do a separate video on that too if you guys are interested in that, like the struggles of long distance. Like, so yeah, that was tough, but we got through it, and I came over in late October of 2022, and we got married in November of 2022. So we are married now. Hell yeah. I forgot to put my rings on, which I always do when I'm around the house. I never wear them around the house. Like, I need to get my shit together. But yeah, so we're married. happily married, really excited, newlywed life. Now I am over here. I'm allowed to stay here for 6 months right now, but we're applying for another visa, which is called a spouse visa. That's gonna let me stay here for another 2.5 years. So I can technically live here. I can get a job once I get that visa, which is what the plan is. So that's our next goal. We're working on that right now. And then in 2.5 years, we are planning on moving to America actually together. So that's the plan. So yeah, right now I'm living in Scotland and I love it and it's amazing here. I'm really, really happy. If you were to like look at me dead in the face 6 years ago and tell me that this was gonna be my life, I would just laugh at you and be like, nah, like that's a movie. That's a movie script. That's not gonna be my life. But it is, and here I am, and it's amazing. It's a whirlwind, it's an adventure. If you guys are interested in like more of the day-to-day stuff, like what we do, like our adventures, we're very adventurous. We like to go on trips, we like to travel, we like to be outside and, you know, be in nature. So if you guys are interested in that, I can post up some of our little vlogs that I've made. I could start making more vlogs. This was just kind of like, I wanted to talk overall about my story, our story. And I know I had to kind of speed through it because it's like if I didn't, this video would literally be an hour long. It's already half an hour. So I can make little separate videos if you guys want about other parts of the relationship and like details of certain things, but yeah, so that's my story for anyone that was interested. I am an American living in Scotland, married to a Scotsman, very happy living like a really, really cool life over here and just in general. And I'm excited for the future. So yeah, thank you for listening to my story. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you want more of our life, you want to see more of our life. I would love to, because I love talking about this, as you can probably tell. Like I get so excited when people ask me, but then I'm like, okay, do you have time? Because yeah, now I can send them this video and they can just watch it. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye!